Welcome back to MLB 30 for 30. I'm Justin St. Peter.
And I'm Michael Hoeflinger.
Today we'll do the Atlanta Braves. They spent a lot of money in this last season to re-sign quality players, especially last week.
Yeah, last week they just went crazy with money. They re-signed like half their roster. So like Freddie Freeman, Craig Kimbrell, Jason Hayward, Teheran, and Andrelton Simmons all got contract extensions in the same week.
Yeah, the Braves, they have to re-sign their players. They're a small marketed team, even though they play in a big market, but they have a lot of good young players, and they re-signed about half their team last week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, their future has definitely been determined what they did last week. I mean, all these guys have really proven themselves. I mean, Freddie Freeman, definitely a good first baseman that's going to lead them in some home run numbers, and Kimbrell, probably the best closer in the game. So they've seen these guys over the last couple of seasons what they can do, and they have put their trust that these are the guys that are going to lead them to success.
Opposing pitchers are really going to have to work with this lineup. Their outfielders, if they can stay healthy, which is a big if, they had a lot of injury issues last year, their outfield is really good.
Mm-hmm. Yep, Justin Upton is a very, very good outfielder. B.J. Upton, his brother, has had some up and down seasons. If he can play even just like half the way he was back when he was with Tampa Bay, he'd be a nice solid bat in there. And then the up-and-coming phenom in Jason Hayward, had him Rookie of the Year a couple years ago, and he's definitely going to be a focal point in them too.
Yeah, Hayward, if he stays healthy, once again, I'll say it again because he always gets hurt for at least 30 games every year I've seen him play. If he stays healthy, all-star candidate.
Mm-hmm, I agree with that, and so could Justin Upton.
Yeah, Justin Upton had a great start to the year and then kind of slowed down towards the end of it, but he was in the MVP race the year that Ryan Braun won it when he was a member of the Diamondbacks.
Mm-hmm. You know, going back to this lineup though, you got to fight through every batter. I mean, top to bottom. I mean, Dan Uggla, B.J. Upton, they have their very cold streaks where they're not the hardest guy to get out, but I mean, 1 through 6 is just it's going to be a battle every at-bat.
Interesting you say that about Dan Uggla and B.J. Upton because both of them had batting averages less than 200 last year. They were the worst starters at their position in the major leagues.
Yeah, they were left off the postseason roster. They were not even Braves didn't feel they could be successful with them.
It was a big wake-up call to them, so we'll see if they have bounce-back years. B.J. Upton kind of had a good year and a bad year with the Rays, so hopefully that happens with the Braves. But the Braves are stuck with Dan Uggla for the next 2 years in a big contract. Hopefully there's no Ricky Weeks-like collapse, yeah. But we'll see.
Yeah, but definitely going to be a battle for each guy. Chris Johnson, I mean, he's not the most common name you hear at third base, but he's a very good player. Definitely going to give you some good at-bats and solid defense, too. And speaking of solid defense, they've got the phenomenal shortstop, probably the best fielding shortstop in the game, in Andrelton Simmons.
Gold Glover last year, he could literally be the next Omar Vizquel with his fielding. Mm-hmm. He is incredible at fielding. Mm-hmm. Just go to YouTube, open up a highlight reel of him, and you'll be amazed as you sit back and watch. Mm-hmm. He is a young prospect who really had a great year batting last year, too, to make the All-Star game.
Yeah, you think sometimes those solid defensive players, yeah, they're not going to hit that well. Now, this guy can put up the numbers still at the plate.
Yeah. For the Braves, they had a big loss. They lost the face of their franchise the last few years. Brian McCann at the catching spot went to the Yankees.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Brian McCann. I mean, you got to pay these guys, and he just kind of outgrew them and just moved on to New York where he's going to compete.
Yeah, they ended up picking up, re-signing Evan Gattis for a small contract. He bounced around everywhere in the major leagues, minor leagues. He was everywhere. In a big story last year, he played outfield, he played catcher, was behind the plate. He had a lot of pop for them.
Yeah, feel-good story. He was working as a janitor, and then he got a call to play baseball. And great story, came up, won some games with them, had some walk-off home runs, had like a great week where he had like 2 walk-off home runs in a week, and just solid defense everywhere he played. You don't really hear many guys that can play catcher and outfield, but he was one of them.
Yeah. Then to go on to their pitching, There are not many household names, but a lot of good young pitchers that have really excelled the last 3 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're not going to really hear many of these names. Like, you're going to be like, I don't know who that is. But they're good pitchers that are definitely going to compete for you and give you a chance to win every time out. And they've got good depth, too. I mean, 1 through 5, they are very solid at each rotation spot.
Yeah, Chris Medlin, who had a fantastic streak last year of innings without a run allowed. Julio Teheran, we talked about, great young pitcher for them, could be their possible ace. Mike Minor, who struggled through injuries, same with Brandon Beachy, but they're both great young pitchers. And then Alex Wood and David Hale will be fighting it for the 5th spot, both young prospects. The Braves, like the Rays, always seem to get young pitching prospects that really do well for them.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and these guys, these pitchers, they only need to go about 6 innings max. I mean, they have a phenomenal bullpen that really is going to hold leads for them, and especially holding leads. Talk about the best closer in the game with the retirement of Mariano Rivera. It could be argued, but I believe Craig Kimbrell is the best closer in the game now.
The only person you could really give a legitimate argument about would be Aroldis Chapman. But saying that, Kimbrell is way better than Aroldis Chapman. He was in the MVP race for the last 2 years. Yeah. That's how incredible this guy is. He only gets to pitch about 60, 70 innings a year, and he's still in the MVP race.
Yeah, he's definitely the top closer. You may not win a game come from behind against him. He may save every game he faces in. Probably no more than 3 blown saves, I would say, all season, which is what a closer should shoot for. But that's like what a top-notch closer would shoot for. This is just unbelievable what he can do.
Yeah. Now that Rivera and Hoffman are gone, if he stays on this pace, maybe 10 years from now will be talked about in the same discussion. For now, you just have to enjoy him as being the best closer in the major leagues.
Mm-hmm. Electric stuff, great fastball.
The rest of their bullpen, it's very good as well. Not as good as it once was, though. David Carpenter and Johnny Venters, both injured. Both, well, David Carpenter's not, but Johnny Venters really torn rotator cuff, Tommy John surgery. He is really struggling to come back from where he was. He was a great setup man for many years.
Mm-hmm. We can get to some bold predictions for the season. I believe they're going to win the NL East. I think they're going to just edge out the Washington Nationals in a close race. But I think just they're a little bit more depth. Their batting order is just a little better than the Nationals. The Nationals are a great team as well, don't get me wrong, but I think the Braves have just got that slight little edge that's going to help them beat them out by a couple games.
Now, we could disagree on this one. The Nationals had just about everything go wrong that could go wrong last year. I think the Nationals come back and win the division this year. The Braves are a great team, but I think they're going to take a close second and still find a way to miss the playoffs because the NL Central is so good. But don't get me wrong, they're a great team, but I just don't know if they can win the NL East.
Mm-hmm. Yep, we also have some potential All-Stars. Justin Upton.
Craig Kimbrell.
Freddie Freeman.
Andrelton Simmons.
And Jason Hayward. And these guys are definitely deserving of All-Star from based on their past. And Kimbrell will probably be the one to close out the All-Star game, I would assume. Justin Upton could be a potential starter as well if he keeps that hot start that he's accustomed to getting.
Andrelton Simmons and Freddie Freeman both made the All-Star game for the first time last year in their careers.
Deservedly so.
Yes. Simmons could be the starter if Tulowitzki struggles with injuries again, but Freeman will most likely be behind Joey Votto.
Mm-hmm.
All right, thank you for watching, and next time we'll have the
Baltimore Orioles.
All right, thank you.